This cinematic gem seems like just a fun story, but it has a message about our lives that seems eerily prophetic. Get ready for a surprise as we talk about what this famous movie was trying to tell us about the fascinating lies and truths that make up our lives. The Truman Show is calling you. Are you ready to figure out what it means? Let's get into it. The fascinating life of Truman Burbank, who lives inside a well-crafted TV set, is the center of The Truman Show. Truth and fabrication blur because Truman is ignorant that the world is plotting and watching him. In this segment, we examine how the movie depicts how media is ubiquitous and how hazardous it is to live in a world where real and fake are blurred. After making coffee and talking to friends, Truman walks and a stage light falls on the road next to his house. Truman sees Sirius, the largest nighttime star, when he checks the lights. As he travels to work, the radio plays a story about falling plane parts, which may explain the light. One of the many clever ways Chris gets Truman to stay on the island is through flight terror. The radio is in control of his thoughts. Truman's water phobia surfaces when his boss proposes a boat excursion. Truman goes out with his best friend Marlin when he feels awful. Truman acts weird and wants to visit Fiji. Marlin notices Truman's odd day and rarely visits his wife, Meryl, who is talking about her new kitchen appliances. Truman recalls the boat catastrophe that killed his father and made him beach-phobic. For the cover, Christoph creates misery with a rain trail to Truman. As Truman's breakdown worsens, the crowd becomes more fascinated. As soon as Truman believes this falsehood, the Truman Show must keep him in his cage, or make him realize he's in one, or the game is over. The story's greatest part is Christoph's Truman lie. Propaganda and hidden meanings worry Truman. Fear-mongering sustains Truman's dream, but weakens him. Flying remains his dream. The Guild's grief over Truman's father's loss may explain this, but Truman is acting out of fear, and Christoph controls his environment. Why Truman's daily settings exist is unknown. TV enhances the point. Modern society, like Truman, masks philosophy's weaknesses with propaganda. We are always told our roles, responsibilities, and enemies. The Matrix teaches us to overlook prisoner indicators, as Truman did. Many well-meaning people promote a broken system by believing the cultural tale. Truman makes mistakes in fiction and life, but not with others. The social myth? This is evident in The Truman Show. Now things get intriguing. Sociologists call society habitus. People blindly accept many unwritten norms and standards. A skill, not a decision. It's not selfish to return your shopping cart, but the system needs it. Normal habitual abstractions are hard to notice. Habitats and stills have high cultural values. Therefore, residents influence music choices. Born happy, family, education, and career keep you happy as a child. Children are taught to loop in some groups. Habits are most visible in The Truman Show. Stay with Truman. Motivation distinguishes reality from fiction. The fake Truman Show pays axes to work. Everyone is a player in real life, making the illusion genuine. We learn from the show that true habits, lying, ego, power, and habitat destruction affect societies. Truman slowly questions his beliefs in the movie, breaking the pattern. The facade crumbles faster as Truman approaches closer to the truth, and planet houses ignore him. Reality TV discusses The Truman Show and almost predicted this. Reality TV's superficial ideals created the habit of watching only reality TV. This seems harmless, yet social media affects our ideals, making it worse in real life. 14-year-old girls who spent over 5 hours a day on social media had 50% higher rates of depression. Comparing your life to others' phony lives changes your perspective. Truth and honesty suffer from this circle. Banner advertisements, shining brands. After she responds, "Land," Truman starts interrogating her about their deception. Remove the machine and buy a new elk rotary. Truman's wife robotically discusses coffee. The habitat is lacking. It's worse in our culture because businesses push us to prioritize work over family. Truman wonders why he dresses like a poor dad to work when he thinks his father has died. His father leaves by bus before Truman arrives. Laura Lauren, a background figure, says Truman's father came because he was crazy and hallucinating. He doubts her and notes how often his wife mentions brands when going through his old stuff. Her father tells her she's rambling as she tries to explain Truman's world is fake. Truman wants Sylvia. After that, Truman witnesses more weird events. Because it reports everything he does on Lancaster Square, his radio appears broken. Despite seeing everything in the background, Truman is always taken. Truman discussed his problems with more than his best friend, who rejected them, recognizing that his world revolved around him unexpectedly. The TV plays a documentary about Mount Rushmore, and his mother gives him fake images of himself to assuage his fears. The extras try to postpone and stop broadcasting his wife's surgery, but Truman follows her to work after seeing her cross her fingers in his wedding photos. Rule breaker Truman. Truman sees a travel agency to escape the diseased culture. The clerk claims Fiji flights are sold out for a month when he attempts to book. His bus breaks down before leaving. He waits for his wife at home in a car. Workers in hazardous suits grab Truman and take him home after he tries to avoid a power plant leak barrier. These instances support Truman's skepticism of the world, making us wonder how many emergency events are unlikely. With all these layers of falsity established in society, we all have the power to end this absurd, fictitious reality, but we don't because doing so breaks their environment, threatening the House of Cards civilization. Authentic reality usually outpaces our fear. So, how can we? Truman never expresses his anger at being confined in the Truman Show. We can't know the truth or values without facts. For the play to function, Truman must trust society. Society collapses with him if he challenges it. Thus, society must keep him from asking. Not identical? Why live in a culture that devalues all we do? It is a world full of mystery, intrigue, and adventure. Yet the Truman Show reveals how it is becoming a drab cage that dulls us. Truman feels animalistic at home. His wife, who can't come down, serves him coffee cheerfully. He acts wild and rejects his odd home when he questions her about it. Against her norm, Truman's wife defends herself with a sharp kitchen knife. Like real life, where political adversaries, extremism, and a general lack of trust arise, the show's fissures appear when Truman quits believing in it. No one trusted our damaged society after YU. In The Truman Show, Truman's wife almost reveals to everyone she plays a role until Truman's close friend Marlon last minute takes her away to have a heart-to-heart. But it's like bandaging a major wound. Sitting by the river, two people reflect. Christoph assures Truman through Marlon that Schumann's idea would apply to everyone, including him, to comfort him that he is significant and normal. Marlon never lied. Truman does this in hearts, but he knows Marlon is playing, so he does it on purpose. The Truman Show is a harsh critique of corporate power and consumer culture because it breaks down the part of the made-up Sea Haven Corporation. The movie imagined a future where companies have so much power that they shape not only people's hopes and dreams, but also the very fabric of their relationships with each other. This critical analysis makes us think about how our lives are becoming more and more like commodities, and what might happen if we give up our personal freedom for the sake of business interests. As we live in a world that is becoming more and more influenced by corporate stories, the warning tale encourages us to take back our independence and fight against the powerful influence of corporations. This will help us become more aware, which will allow us to manage the complicated world of consumerism with purpose and wisdom. Truman paints with soap in the morning, talks to neighbors and co-workers, and seems to want an office mate. Truman's reality-seeking destroys the show. As he enters, his search for truth destroys his fantasy world. Truman reclaims authority and rejects a dead society. As Truman faces the truth of his fake life, the movie comes to a strong conclusion that explores self-discovery and breaking free from social norms. This act is a metaphor for how everyone needs to wake up to deal with the complicated world we live in now. The Truman Show makes us think about our realities, which leads to a trip of self-awareness and freedom from the lies that hold us back. If you like this video, make sure to like our video and hit the subscribe button.